Hello, everybody. I'm back with another video. Um, I've had something on my mind, just thinking about the cult and everything, thinking about the Roman Society Church of God, and it's got me thinking. I'm thinking about my thought process as I was leaving. So, just to give you guys a little insight, there were actually more than one times. There were a couple times where I've really been shaken up, like really shooken up. I would say the first time that happened was in 2011, when the whole incident with Ron Ramos, Diane Sims, and that whole ordeal. It was just interesting and strange because right around that time we had Christmas lights and everything. And I was listening to the Playing in Traffic episode with Nathan recently, and he was explaining about this period of time in the church. Sorry about the noise in the background. I'm closing my window. It's pretty windy outside. But yeah, this was a very, very strange time, and kind of wanted to after I listened to the episode, I wanted to really delve more into what was going through my head at the time, because it was a really interesting time to be a member, and it was just weird. Everything was weird. Everything was awkward. We had the situation where Ron and Diane left. Well, Ron was at our location, so when he left, it was like everybody was shaken up. Everybody. I noticed how a lot of things changed in the church, and I began to start recognizing a lot more patterns. I want to say since that point on, when the church became way more strict, way more restrictive on everything. It was just weird. So that I can recall that time being very like at one point when it was first announced, like, me personally, I was shaking. Like, my legs were shaking. I was nervous. But since it was so close to the, being 2011, it's 2012, I'm like, man, things are popping off now. Like, we pastors start showing us verses like, yeah, even the elect will be deceived. No one's safe. It doesn't matter if you were a missionary, if you were a deacon, if you were a title holder of any sort. They would say God will allow Satan to overtake your mind. One of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard was that if someone is not faithful and someone is curious and wants to look online, then God will allow their hearts to be open to the lies online, and even the elect will be deceived. Which is really bizarre to say that. Clear gaslighting. It's just, yeah. So that was a weird time. I'm really thinking back at these incidents that happened around that time. When they were protesting. Like, okay, so they were protesting. Diane, Ron, and I want to say a group of 15 other people who were former members of the church. It was weird because they were protesting outside, and these are people that I've known for more than half my life. These are people that I've, we've done gatherings together. We've had pool parties back in the day. We used to do birthday parties back in the day. So we felt like we used to do like barbecues. This was way early, like early to mid 2000s. We used to do all these things together. So we really felt like a tight-knit family. And once they left, they started protesting and whatnot. It got really weird because me being like 15, 16 at the time, I used to ride my bike to church every Sabbath, right? Every Saturday, Tuesday. And so they're protesting, and I want you to paint a picture in your head. So I'm riding my bike. I'm on the street. We're like inside a neighborhood, very secluded. So I'm riding my bike, and I just see all these people that I've known, and I'm riding my bike, and I'm getting really nervous. Like, my legs are shaking again. My arms are shaking. And I'm just thinking, oh man, like, I'm really supposed to believe that these people are Satan. But really deep down, even though I still wanted to say hi, what's up to them, they instill this fear in you so much. Like, they instill this level of fear so that if they ever try to talk to you, if they ever try to reach out, it's all from Satan. Everything they do from this point on, from going against the church, it's all Satan's doing. So yeah, that was difficult. They came and protested multiple times. There were times where they're calling my name, yelling my name, Jordan, like, get out of there. And me in my arrogant mindset was thinking, what are these people of Satan trying to tell me? So that's the kind of thought process that went through my mind at that time. It was really crazy. So, but anyways, right after that time, it was really easy to see how the church got way more strict. We had security teams now. Our IT team had grown, so we had a bigger internet presence, making sure whatever slander is out there, it's being reported. What they're tracking down, what members are going online and saying things. So that's where it started, most definitely. That was the first time. The second time I was really shook. The second time I was really shook was when the Today Show interview came out. So when that came out, the famous Today Show story on the WMSCOG, how Rebecca was basically how her family was split apart because of the church. And watching that, this was while I was in the military. So while I was in the military, probably for the first part of my term, I wasn't going to church as much. I was working a lot. But for some reason, once I went to basic training and did my training in Virginia, like I got a taste of the quote unquote world. And I just felt really exhausted. I got a taste of freedom, and I was stationed in Washington State, and the closest branch was about 45 minutes away from where I lived. So I went to the church a couple times, like my first couple Sabbaths, and then I just stopped going for probably like a good 3 months. It was during the time when that Today Show interview came out, and around that time I was doing a little bit of research online, but at that time I was like really scared. Like, I was really scared I didn't know what to believe. It was I was for sure under the mindset of, these claims, and Michelle Colon on that Today Show interview is Satan and whatever and whatnot. But I think that contributed to me not wanting to. I kind of wanted to distance myself for the first time in my life. I had made that decision to put some distance between the church and myself. Took a little break. I still kept the feasts and everything. I still went for the important days, but wasn't really preaching. Wasn't really practicing the sermons, the subjects, or progressing in those course classes and whatnot. But yeah, it was an interesting time. But it was around this time when I started recognizing patterns. So it's going to be really hard for me to put all this into articulate words. It's really hard to explain for me for whatever reason. But I started noticing certain patterns that were going on in the church. From transitioning, now going to the Seattle church, you can see how things are different, but ultimately it's the same system. It's preaching, Sabbath day structures, for the most part, it's pretty much all the same. So I'm noticing little things here and there, just as I made my return back to actually going to church. I'm noticing things that I wouldn't really notice before, interesting patterns here and there, all the all the procedures, everything. Let's say when a newcomer comes, exactly what's gonna happen. They're gonna get paired up with a unit leader, some type of leader. They're gonna study and go to the study rooms. You're gonna try to get them baptized immediately. They're gonna become a member. You're gonna encourage them to start going preaching, and encourage them to start tithing, and then it's just rinse and repeat for everyone. Everyone you try to bring to Zion, you're trying to bear new fruit. It's the same thing over and over and over. Even when it comes to just going preaching, it's the same thing over and over and over. We go to the preaching meeting, we sing some new songs. We open the preaching meeting with a prayer, and then you get paired up, and you go preaching for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, especially mostly during the evening times when I went. But it was things like that. Of course, those are two little things that I noted off. But there's so many more things. There's so many more patterns. There's the system that they have is really a well-oiled machine. They have systems put into place, and I started recognizing these things, and I was opening my eyes just a little bit that this might be a cult. But nevertheless, I continued with it. I stuck with it with my wife and my son. And so I got back to going preaching. I started going preaching again. Started practicing the subjects once more. I even got in big trouble in the military because I didn't get an approved day off to keep the Day of Atonement. And we know how important that day is. I got an Article 15 when I was in the military. Now, if you don't know what an Article 15 is, you get 45 days extra duty. You get about a month's pay docked from your paycheck. In some cases, you can get demoted. So I got a company grade Article 15, which wasn't as severe as like a real one. So I only got 30 days extra duty. I didn't get no pay docked, but for 30 days straight, I had to work from like 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. No weekends off. Just work. It's during my work day, I'm doing my regular duties. And then after work hours, I'm cleaning, I'm doing whatever is being requested. So that kind of like, after that point, I was like, gonna leave the military. Military is not for me. I can't keep the days of God. I can't keep the feasts. It's a hindrance. So I got out the military. Chose not to re-enlist. To this day, I wish I would have stayed in. But of course, under the influence of the World Mission Society Church of God, that all changes pretty fast, unfortunately. But yeah, so I was motivated with the Holy Spirit. I chose God over a career. So after that point, I went even harder. Moved back to LA. Became a group leader in LA, because I was still pushing really hard. But still, throughout my time in LA, still noticing the same patterns. Still noticing how it's gotten even more strict. It's feeling a lot less, not really like a family. It's a lot less like a family and more like a business. Not like a military, not like on the East Coast. You guys were strict over there, but strict. We're still strict. I mean, everybody was afraid of the pastor. Nathan had mentioned that in his episode with Playing in Traffic. He was scared of the pastor. So people were literally scared of this man. People were scared of this man for whatever reason. People were just scared to go up to him and ask him things. So more than half the time, we'll have to go ask if we can go play basketball or something. So I'm asking a brother, hey, can you go ask him? And he's like, no, I'm too scared. I'm like, all right, let me just go ask him. It's like something like that is always happening. But yeah, it's crazy. And listening to that episode on Playing in Traffic, it really got me thinking back at some of those times. Just second guessing myself when I was in the cult. There were several times where I'm just like, I kind of wish I never knew about this place, kind of always had thoughts of wishing that I had lived a regular life, not miss so many opportunities, things like that. But it is what it is. There's a reason for everything that I believe, even though I'm not necessarily a believer in God or whatever. But I do believe in things like karma, and I do believe in things like everything happens for a reason, whether it be for a good reason or a bad reason. Everything, like this situation with me being in the church, I truly feel that I have the ability to help a lot of people out. There's a lot of family members of people in this cult. I still have family in this cult, and it sucks. It really sucks, but we got to push through it and just make the best of it. You have to be patient on some of the people that were waiting to get out. And I'm excited. I know it's going to happen one day. Zon Giljaw's not going to stay alive forever. She's getting older. So I don't know what kind of BS excuse they're going to come up with. But I feel like that's going to push a lot of people out. Recently, I've received quite surprising news. I don't want to give any information away because, people want to stay anonymous. But, there's it's pretty exciting when I hear about old members, leaders, deacons that I used to attend Zion with. When I hear about some of them leaving, it gets really exciting for me. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a ride, and I'm just looking forward to helping out more people, honestly. But yeah, I mean, those are just some quick thoughts that I had. In the future, I do want to delve more into like the types of patterns that are easily identifiable in this church, and maybe have some of you guys come on with me and discuss some of these things, and you can compare and contrast some of the things that we went through, some of the experiences that we've had, and maybe just have a little bit of fun with them. But yep, this quick episode today. I changed my YouTube channel to Your Average Cult Survivor. Super basic name. I think I'm gonna keep it. I'm not too creative, so we'll have to rock with that. But yeah, this has been Your Average Cult Survivor, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace.